Okay, so when dealing with functions and relations, functions versus relations, what we're looking for, a relation or a relationship is just a bunch of ordered pairs. Okay, so we're talking about x and y values. When we see a bunch of ordered pairs, that's a relation. What makes it a function is if there is only one x value pointing to a given y value. So when I have, I should say it this way, when the x value points to one and only one y value. So when you look at this first pairing here, where you have 8 and 9 on the left-hand side, you can see that the 8 points to two different values. And what that means is that there's no function, there's no rule that I can follow to get from the input value of 8 to an output value, because one time it points at 3, another time it points at 4, another time it points at 9. And the same thing with the 9. 9 points at 3 and 9 points at 6. So 9 gives you 6, 9 gives you 3. There's no mathematical operation you can do to either of those numbers to get a variety of numbers. So this is not a function. It is what we call a relation because there are numbers assigned to other numbers. When you look at question 2, 3 points at 12, 2 to 13, 1 to 14, and 0 to 15. Now, finding the rule is something we'll do down the road, but we can clearly see that each one of the what we call x values, those are our input values, each one of those is only pointing at one y value or output value. So this is a function. Question 3. 4 points at 5, 8 points at 5, 12 at 10, and 16 gives you 15. Now, we notice that two different numbers are pointing or are giving you a value of 5. That's okay, as long as it's not the same input value, the x value, giving us more than one output value or y value. So 4 only points at 5, 8 only points at 5. And that's okay, that still creates a function. Now again, what the rule is that establishes that function we don't need to worry about. When you look at graphs, so the graph of points, if each input value can only point at one output value, that's our x values that are pointing at values that are our y values. So if we take a look at number 4, we see that we have an xy coordinate right here, which is 3, 1. And we have another xy coordinate here, which is also 3, 4. So the same input value is giving you two different output values. Now what we can do with a graph to make it simple on ourselves is draw a vertical line. If that vertical line hits more than one point that is identified in the graph, then it is not a function. So we say that that failed the vertical line test. So this is not a function, because there's no rule I can apply to 3 to figure out what the output value is going to be, because it gives me two different output values. Same thing goes here. Simple vertical line right there hits 4 points. So that is not a function. And finally, we have a function, because no matter what vertical line I draw, it only hits 1 point at a time. Okay, one single vertical line hits 1 point. Therefore, it's a function. So that we say that that passed the vertical line test. Same idea with input and output tables. I have a 0, a 1, a 2, and a 3 for my input. Those are all unique. It does not matter that I have these the same. What matters is that only the input value only points at one output value, each input value. Okay, so that is a function. We have a 1 and another 1. They give you a 4 and a 7, which can't happen, so that is not a function. Pretty easy concept. You just have to look for repeats of the x value. Same thing with ordered pairs. If I find any x values that repeat, and remind yourself that the x value is the first of the two in the ordered pair. So I have a 0, a 2, a 3, a 5, and a 7. So that's a function. No repeats. Looking at the second group, I have a 3 here and another 3 here. So that is not a function. So again, you're just looking for repeats. The x value repeated itself, can't be a function. Okay? We take a look at the graph over here, and we think about drawing a vertical line. Okay, any vertical line. Again, you can test as many as you want, but if I look at the points, you can see that none of them are directly above the others. Okay, I'm going to highlight. You got a point here, you got a point here, one here. You can see that they don't fall one directly above the other. Not one of them is above another. Therefore, if we take a look at the question here, it says use the words input and output to explain, in your explanation I should say, and connect them to the context. So no input value is giving you more than one output value. Okay, and it fails the vertical line test. Okay, I'm not going to write that down, but that's the basic idea behind functions. Okay, so you have an assignment, relatively quick assignment, where you are simply identifying whether something's a function or not based on this information.